Hello and welcome to the video Eclipse Connect to Microsoft SQL Server with me, Nam Hamid from CodeJava.net. In this video, I'd like to share with you how to connect to Microsoft SQL Server in Eclipse IDE using the database development perspective. It would be helpful if you need to manage a database on a remote instance of SQL Server, but you don't have any client tools for SQL Server on your computer. And here are the details. First, I will show you how to download a SQL Server JDBC driver, and then how to make a connection to a database, and how to view and edit data in a table, and how to execute some SQL statements. And I suppose that you are using the following software programs: Java Development Kit and Eclipse IDE on your computer, and Microsoft SQL Server 2019 Express Edition on the remote computer. Firstly, you need to download SQL Server JDBC driver. So open a web browser and type the search keyword is download Microsoft SQL Server JDBC driver, and click on the first result, which is from the official Microsoft website here. And you see this is a download page for Microsoft JDBC driver for SQL Server, and the latest version of Microsoft JDBC driver is 8.4 as of now, December 2020. And click this hyperlink to download the zip file. Okay, the download complete. So in folder here, and you can see the zip file of Microsoft JDBC driver for SQL Server. And I move this file onto another directory. Create a new folder. SQL Server JDBC, and paste here, and extract this zip file. Extract here, and inside the extracted directory, you can see there are three jar files of Microsoft SQL Server JDBC driver for different versions of Java. You can see the file ends with JRE8 is for Java 8, and this file is for Java 11, and this Java is for Java 14. And this is Eclipse on my computer. You can see I'm using Eclipse IDE for Enterprise Java Developers version 2020-06 here. And to open the database perspective, go to the menu window, perspective, open perspective as a, and you can see the database development perspective here, and click open, and Eclipse we switches to the database perspective, as you can see here. And there are some views like data source explorer here, and in this view you can make database connections here. And you can see also there are some other views like SQL results, execution plan, bookmarks here. And you can see the icon for the database development perspective to the upper right corner here. So you can click this button to quickly switch between Java perspective and database development perspective here. Now I'm going to make a new database connection to a remote instance of SQL Server. So in this data source explorer view, click in this button here to create a new connection, or right click on the database connection here, new. Here, and in the list you choose SQL Server here, and enter the name for this new connection. For example, I want to work on the database name customer, so I name the connection as customer database on SQL Server, and click next. And here you need to choose the driver type. Click this new driver definition here, And in this list for SQL Server driver definitions, here choose other driver because somehow the this listed Microsoft SQL Server driver definitions do not work. So choose other driver and change the driver name to SQL Server driver. And in the jar list here, you click the add button here to pick the jar file from Microsoft SQL JDBC driver, which I have downloaded previously. Here, SQL Server JDBC. And here I choose the jar file for Java 8 here. The file ends with JRE8 here. And click open. And then you need to specify the connection properties to the remote instance of SQL Server. Here the connection URL is JDBC SQL Server double forward slash is, and then the host name is the IP address or host name of the remote server. SQL SRV is the host name of a remote computer in my environment, and then the instance name SQL Express is the default instance name when you install Microsoft SQL Server Express Edition. And then the database name is customer. You need to know the database name before. And here's a database name will be displayed in the data source explorer. Customer database. And the driver class, you need to manually specify the driver class is com.microsoft.SQL Server.JDBC.SQL Server driver. And password, user ID. User ID and password is the user ID and password when you install Microsoft SQL Server Express Edition on the computer, on the remote computer. Okay. And click OK. And click the test correction button here. And you can see being succeeded. That means Eclipse has been successfully connected to the remote instance of Microsoft SQL Server. Click here to save password and click next. And you can review the information here and click finish. And you can see a new connection appears in the data source explorer here. You can see the database name customer database, and you can see catalogs, and you can see there are several databases available in the remote instance of SQL Server. And the customer catalog is a database which I want to work on here. Schemas here, DBO, and you can see the table customers here. This is exactly the table which I want to work on to manage the data in this table. You can see the columns here, and you can apply a filter to the catalogs view here to see only the catalog you want to work with. Right click on catalogs here, properties, and uncheck the disable filter checkbox here and enter the name of the catalog you want to show in the view. I want to show only the customer catalog, and click apply and close. And you can see only the catalog name customer appears here. And if you want to show only the schemas you want to work on, you can also apply a filter for the schemas here. Right click and properties, and check visible filter here and type the DBO to display only the schema DBO that contains the tables customers here. You can see. So you can apply filters to see only the content you want to manage, you want to work with in the Data Source Explorer view. You can also create another connection to Microsoft SQL Server to work on a different database. So click the new connection profile button here. SQL Server. Next. Now I enter the name is student database on SQL Server. Click next. And you can modify the previously configured driver definition. Here, database name is students, and the URL modifies the database name students. Save password and click test connection. Being succeeded. Okay, next and finish. And the second connection appears here for the students database here. You can see. You can see in the students database I have the table students details here, the columns here. You see. So you can also apply the filters to display only the schema you want to work with. DBO, apply and close. And know that you can see several catalogs, several database here, but you can work with only the database you specify in the connection URL. So you can see I try to open customer catalog here, but it doesn't show anything. So apply a filter for this view. Students. You can see now you can focus on working on what you want here. Student details table here. So that's how to create making connections to Microsoft SQL Server using the database perspective tool in Eclipse IDE. When finished working, you can right click on the connection name and click disconnect. And you can connect again here. You see, very easy, very convenient for working with a remote instance of SQL Server to manage database right inside Eclipse IDE. Now I will show you how to view and edit data in a table. For example, I want to view data in the customer table here. I disconnect from the student database. Okay, the customers table here. You can right click on the table name and data, and you can click the link, the menu item sample contents here to say the very first rows of this table. You can see it is shown in the result view here. You can see there are 3 rows in this customers table here. So that's the quick way to see the data in the table sample contents. If you want to edit, you can click edit menu item here, and you can edit in the table format like this here. For example, I want to update this username Ravi Kumar, this customer name Ravi Kumar Krishna S 29, and then you can right click and click save here to commit the changes to the remote database. And you can see the message in the view here, update customer set name as here. Data successfully saved here. So you can edit the data directory in a table format like this. Now you can insert a new row here. Now I want to insert a new customer. For example, James Bond email jamesbond at uk.com as 61. And when done, you right click and click save. You can see the SQL statement print here, insert into customers table here. Data successfully saved here. And you can right click on the table, see the sample contents here. And you can see there are 4 rows here. You can see the SQL results history here. You see, very convenient for managing data in the table, for editing data in the table. And to remove a row, you can right click on the row here and click delete row, and right click save here to commit the changes. Yes, and you can see the SQL statement delete here. Close, and you can view the sample contents here. You can see now there are 3 rows in this customers table here. So you can see it's very easy and convenient to managing data in a table, editing, create row, update row, insert a new row. But Eclipse doesn't allow us to create a new table or modify the table structure. It allows us to only view and edit data and execute SQL statements. To execute a SQL statement, you can right-click on the connection name here and open SQL Scrapbook here. And Eclipse, we open up the SQL text editor here that allows you to write SQL statement here and execute. Here you can choose the connection name customer here. For example, I type the select SQL statement, select asterisk from the from the customers table. And to execute this SQL statement, you can right click, execute all, or execute select text, execute all. And you can see the result here. Status from the SQL statement here, and the result here. You see, you can modify the SQL select statement where ID greater than 2, and right click, execute all. And you can see the result here. There are only 1 customer with the ID greater than 2 here. You can type another SQL statement here. For example, I want to update the customer. Update customer set as equal 70, where ID equal 103, which is the ID of this customer, James Bond here. And to execute this update statement only, you select the statement and right click and execute selected text here. And you can see the result of the update SQL statement, update customer here. 1 row affected here. Perfect, right? You can also always review the story as a history here. So that's how to execute SQL statements using database perspective in Eclipse IDE. You can change the collection here, database here, and when finished working, you can right click on the collection name and disconnect. And that's how to use the database development perspective in Eclipse IDE to connect to a remote instance of Microsoft SQL Server and manage data in the table. I hope you will find this video helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share this video. Thanks for watching.